Hello everyone, what is going on? I am HVWV2 and welcome to HTW's podcast, and today I am doing something a little bit different. And what I'm doing is actually an album review. That is right. Something very different. I've never really reviewed albums, I never really reviewed music, but I've always wanted to because I always say this, my three passions in life all tied for first. It's movies, then there's wrestling, and there's music. Actually, it's more of movies, music, and wrestling, but with that said, we're basically going to review Young Gun's new album, Ones and Zeros. I've actually been seeing a lot of hate for this album. It's very weird. Lots of people have been hating on it. Lots of people have been saying it's not as good as their previous works. And personally, in my opinion, after listening to this twice, first time basically just in the background while I was playing NBA 2K against my brother, and the second time I actually just got done listening to it for a second time, laying down and just really studying this album, I gotta say, this is personally my favorite album Young Guns has ever released. It's very different. It has that more of an electronic sound to it, while at the same time they still kind of keep their old rock sound. It's basically a big mixture of the two, and I personally fucking love it. I heard a lot of people saying that it was very repetitive. It was basically every track felt the same. It's basically if you took every cliche of any song ever and put it into one, and basically that's this whole album. I don't know what you guys are listening to, but personally, I just found this track freaking amazing. It's almost hard to describe this album or why I love it. I don't even really know why I love it so much. Just personally, I freaking love it. The first track is Rising Up, and I really do like this track. It starts off the album very good, and it starts it off into a great tone. Then we go into the second one, which is I Want Out, which was, I think, the first song they released previewing this album, and I believe they released it back in August. It's a very good song. It's probably the most catchiest. And then Infinity is one of those kind of epic songs. You almost really get into it. Um, it's very weird. You almost feel emotionally invested to it. Even when I was just listening to the background, I was like, damn, this is a very uplifting song. My personal three least favorite songs on here is going to be Gravity, Speaking in Tongues, and Lullaby. They're not bad, but Gravity's pretty bad, but for all of them, I think I'd pretty much just skip them all. But once we get on to Die on Time, I feel like that's when it starts to pick up. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to dig this. And then we ended out with Ones and Zeros, and I love the title track to this album. Ones and Zeros just basically ends this album in the perfect way. It goes out on a bang, and I personally freaking love it. Memento Mori is also a pretty good song. It doesn't start to really kick in until the second half, in my opinion. And again, Lullaby is just kind of that song for me. I wasn't really feeling it, but definitely my favorite songs are going to be I Want Out, Rising Up, Infinity, Ones and Zeros, and Die on Time. Definitely my favorite on this album. It's not a lengthy album. It's about 48 minutes. It's not as long as the other album I'm going to review soon, but it's definitely a very good album. I would definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't. I'm going to end up rating it an 8.5 out of 10. I personally loved it, and personally, it's one of those just different albums that Young Guns has released. I love their new style, and I hope they kind of keep with this style while still making improvements in the future. I liked their last two albums. I think it was Bones, and I forget the one that they released in 2013, forget the title name. I really did like both of those albums, and this one I personally think it's great. I definitely do recommend you all checking it out. Again, I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys did all enjoy, and I'll see you all later. Peace.